Trigger warning, this podcast contains mature themes and discussions of cults, manipulation, and trauma. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Cultimatum, the culture of cults and human trafficking, where we expose the dark side of control, manipulation, and the human stories behind them. I'm Anonymous Andrew, executive producer and investigator into cult dynamics and coercive control.
And I'm Melody, a cult survivor and advocate for awareness and healing.
This is Cultimatum. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Cultimatum, the culture of cults and human trafficking. And my name is Anonymous Andrew. And tonight with me is my co-host Melody. Melody, who do we have on the podcast today?
Andrew, today's guest is Lori Rayo, an ex-Jehovah's Witness who speaks out on social media about life inside and outside of the organization. Last week, you should have heard, or we aired Joe Rayo's episode, which Joe is also a former Jehovah's Witness elder. Lori is Joe's wife, and he is actually the one who suggested that we also have Lori come on the show to share her unique perspective with us. So if you haven't listened to Joe's episode, you might want to jump back to last week and listen to his episode and then come back and listen to hers, although you could finish listening to hers and then jump back and listen to his. Doesn't matter either way. So Lori is here to share her experience with being disfellowshipped, including being shunned by her own family. She openly calls out hypocrisy and false prophecies and hidden abuses within the faith on her social media. She's also an ex-JW coach. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. And tell us a little bit about, you're an ex-JW coach, meaning that you coach people who are ex-JW.
So yes, I work with specifically right now just ex-JWs. Eventually, I would like to move on to just people, that have been impacted by cults in general. But right now, it's specifically JW because that's kind of my field of expertise. I have
specialty, sure.
40 years of lived experience, and I am not a therapist. I'm very clear and open about that because that is something that, when you have serious trauma from these cults, that is absolutely essential in my opinion. But even a therapist with years of experience, if they have not been in this cult, there's just certain things that they're not going to fully get. And so I help people in conjunction with their therapy to just kind of deconstruct from the religion without needing a dictionary of all the terms, all the JW-ness of it all, and just kind of figure out how to deal with the elders and their family and how to rebuild self-esteem and kind of make a plan for really regaining their life and their freedom.
In the world of therapy or getting help, and I will use myself as an example. I'm an alcoholic in recovery. Generally, the people who have walked that path are the ones who are going to understand it the most. So that's why AA works, because I'm talking to another alcoholic. So
Right.
Talking to another cult member, especially one who was in the exact same cult, is going to work 99% of the time. You're doing a great service. Just want to
Thank
let you know
so
that.
much. I appreciate that. I have imposter syndrome sometimes with it. And I'm always, I take courses. I'm always educating myself. And I'm very clear that I'm not a therapist, but it is a really specific thing. And I pioneered, I try to emphasize to people too, even though I feel gross saying it, like we were high up in the organization, but that is important for people to hear because there's a level of respect. There's a ladder that's climbed as witnesses. And so to say that, yeah, I was raised an elder, I was on the convention, I was raised an elder's daughter, elder's wife. I was on the convention. I pioneered for 20 years. I went to pioneer school 3 times. I want people to know that like even the higher ups can leave, can wake up. And I also know what I'm talking about. And I volunteered my time for 20 years, knocking on people's doors, trying to help them. And I have helped more people in the last 6 months doing this than I ever did for 20 years.
And I will say, the fact that you are sticking with JWs, from what we have observed and seen on this podcast, you're not going to run out of people very soon. So they have an exodus like no other cult we've seen.
So,
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, and I think Melody will correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the most guests we've had on this podcast are JWs,
Yes,
correct, Mel?
absolutely, yes. More
So, yeah,
ex-JW,
Mm.
members than any other cult, correct?
they're fleeing in droves. Quick question, because you said you used the word elder. Can females be elders, or
No. Oh, no.
no, no? So you're
We
the
couldn't
wife.
they couldn't even wear pants until a year ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so, but the way you phrased it, it sounded like you were an elder. But then you said something about the wife of an elder. So
No,
so
I
Joe
misspoke. I
was
was
the
saying, yeah,
elder.
daughter and wife of an elder. I mean, they do like to call the busybody wives of elders elderettes. That's a nice affectionate
Oh,
term that's used,
Mm.
in the
okay.
organization. But no, the highest you can ever be, um, as a woman in the organization, your husband can continue to grow privileges, and you're just his wife. But the biggest title that you can have is pioneer, or you could be a Bethelite, but even that, you're just somebody's wife. So it's, yeah.
Okay.
Even though the women should have been doing, like the smallest of tasks in the congregation, the privileges that the men have, like they get to carry the microphones, they stand around and walk around when people raise their hands to give a comment, and they give them the microphones. Well, men are really bad at looking for things, and they're terrible at the microphones because they call on somebody, and the men are standing there looking for where this person's sitting. And I'm like, if a woman had this job, we would be right there at their seat. We would see every single person and where their hand was, and so it's the misogyny is rampant.
And I just thought of something that I never made the leap or the connection. So I grew up Catholic, and to this day, I don't think there's any female Catholic priests. So it's not just JW. I think across the board, you'll see in many cults, women will never be given that top spot.
Yeah,
Or
I think any religion that uses the Bible is
Mhm.
going to be sexist and
Yep.
misogynistic because the Bible
Yes.
is sexist and misogynistic.
Yes, they want to devalue women,
Yes.
absolutely, and they're following that
Mhm.
that written text that basically devalues women.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
the only cult that I can think of off the top of my head right now that reveres a woman is the Seventh-day Adventists with Ellen White. So
yeah.
because she's the founder, basically, but that was 1800, and she's no longer around.
But they
But
still actually don't
the
really allow women
right,
nowadays to be teachers, even though the one who founded their organization was a female. They still
correct.
don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the witnesses, they talk about that there's a scripture that the women are a large army. The women are the ones that take the lead in the preaching work and the ministry, but only because they don't have jobs, or because the men are, b I don't know. I think it's also because women just have better hearts a lot of times. I always say that if women were in charge of this organization, that they would have the CSA that goes on would not be happening. I think it's men that allow that to go on, but there's just the small things, there's so much misogyny, and I think inside the congregation, it's a lot of nuances, and, they act like they respect women, but they really don't. There's the amount of counsel that women are given are sexualized and focused on their dress and grooming, and counseled about your nail polish and your panty lines and the hem of your dress. It's disgusting.
Okay, so we kind of jumped ahead and didn't get the beginning. So we know a lot of your end story, some from Joe, but we don't know your beginning. So take us from the beginning. Were you born into this?
I was. My dad used to play Kingdom Melodies, which are what the songs were called, the JW songs. He used to play them on the headphones on my mom's belly. So I'm like, you want to talk about indoctrination?
Oh
I
God!
was
Oh God!
literally
Oh,
culty in the womb. So, and my parents, as well as Joey's parents, they both came into it later in life, and so they look at it as this savior religion, that it saved them, it made their life better, it gave them, a family that they didn't have before, and values, and blah blah blah. So yes, I was born and raised into it, and I never knew anything else, and I was happy because that's kind of the magic formula with the witnesses, is that they answer all your questions, and they give you such a moral superiority that you're not sad that you're not celebrating Christmas and the other kids are. You actually feel sorry for them, that they're so stupid and they don't know that Christmas is bad and Santa's not real and all these things, and you feel sorry for them because you know the truth and you're smarter and better than everyone. And so you don't have time to be miserable because you have this beautiful life. And I mean, the gaslighting, and that's something in my deconstructing process, just realizing how much I was masking my whole life, that I thought I was happy and I wasn't, you know? But there's a lot of people that I'm sure you talk to, and my husband included, who he never really liked being a witness and he kind of lived a double life. I was not that way. I was super culty. I was a true believer. I never questioned, I never doubted, I never looked at apostate material. I was never in the back room or in trouble. Like, I was a good JW kid. And I preached in school. I preached to my teachers. I set a good example. Went to the library every time someone brought cupcakes in for their birthday because I couldn't participate. And I was in the same school my whole life, and everybody just kind of knew, like, oh, Lori's a witness. And I never went to a school dance, or I couldn't participate in student government, sports, any of it. I was, an outsider in my own environment. But I was good because I had friends in the congregation. I was busy going out in service and in the ministry and working, doing free labor, building kingdom halls. So I thought that I was living the best life ever. I mean, that's literally their slogan, the best life ever. And I really thought that I was.
So let's take us back to your childhood. So you're 10, early adolescent years. It was in America? Because I know you're outside the country now.
Correct. Yeah, we're in Albania right now. But yeah, so I grew up in Pennsylvania. I was born in Oklahoma. My parents moved when I was 2 to Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia area. And I grew up there. My dad was appointed an elder when I was like 7, I think. So that was pretty much my whole life, that we were, a pillar in the congregation. And I got baptized at 10 years old, which is young, even, by witness standards. And it's funny because I remember my dad saying to me, like, "Are you sure you're ready to do this?" And I was so insulted. I was like, "Yes, I'm ready. What are you talking like, I've been ready for longer than this." I gave my first talk at 7. I was I mean, when I say I was culty, it's.
Should have reminded him he was blasting songs into
Right,
his
and it's funny, I
belly,
do feel like I
into the
had this
womb.
indignation of, like, "You're asking me if I'm ready? Like, you're the one that did this to me."
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was probably a part of him that kind of knew that that was probably not a decision a 10-year-old child should be making, because
Right,
that's
dedicating
the
your life to
just in
God.
general, right, I
Mhm.
mean, a 10-year-old is not mature enough really to make a decision about anything about their future, let's be real.
I have a 10-year-old, and the decisions that I would not trust him to make, I mean,
Yeah.
and that I also know that any decision that he did make, even a serious one, I would not hold him to at 40 years old. And that's what's so
Right.
crazy now, is that my parents, my dad literally said to me when I woke up, "You drank the poison. I'm disappointed in you." And that was it. And it's like, I made this choice at 10 years old, and here I am at 40, and you're still holding me to it. That's crazy to me because, yeah, that is way too young to make that kind of choice.
So your dad is still in.
Oh, yes, my parents are very much still in.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was 10, got baptized. Growing up, it was kind of in our household at least, it was you pioneer. When you graduate high school, you pioneer. That's it. That is your career, especially as a woman. And if you do get any sort of schooling, it's only to help you further your pioneering. It's only to help you support yourself so you can work part-time and pioneer until you get married. And then your husband can support you and you can just pioneer full time. So it was if you don't pioneer, then you can move out. So we kind of had no choice. My sister and I both pioneered. My sister was married at 20. And then when I kind of was always trying to escape. So when I turned 20, I had an opportunity with some other friends of mine to move to Florida. And it was 3 other girls that were also pioneering, and somebody was renting their house out for a little bit, and I was like, "Okay, maybe this is a chance to at least get some freedom," and, there's so much of it as you look back that it's like, maybe that was me waking up a little bit and trying, to stretch my wings a little bit, but so I
Or
ended up
or
coming to
just you
Florida.
being a regular young person wanting to
Exactly,
experience
yes,
life
yes, who
outside of your parents and your small town and your organization.
right, because I didn't get to go to college. I didn't get that experience. I mean, that I lived in Florida for 1 year with my girlfriends, and that was one of the best years of my life. I'm so grateful that I had that experience because most witnesses go from home to marriage, and they don't live alone. And 2 of those girls that I lived with they were in my wedding, like, lifelong friends with them. They are also out of the cult, and so that has been amazing that I still have them, in my life. Um, but yeah, so I moved. That's where I met Joey. The plan was to only be in Florida for a year, but I moved and met him, and we started dating.
For the audience who might not have heard Joe's episode, was he a witness when you met him,
Oh,
Joe?
yes. Yeah, that's
Oh,
how I
okay.
met him. Yes, yeah. You're not even friends with people, let alone dating them, especially if you're a pioneer. No, I would not have had any privileges in the congregation if I had been dating someone that wasn't already in.
Outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he, interestingly was kind of on his way out. I did not know this until much later. But then he met me and fell in love with me and was like, "Oh, this is a good witness girl that I love, and she will help keep me on the straight and narrow. And
Oh.
this is what I should be doing with my life." So that kind of makes me sad that,
Because what I do remember of his interview was that he was an elder also, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Not when we met.
Not when you met. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, he was 18 when he was still in high school when we met.
right.
I'm 2 years older than him, so we got married at 19 and 21.
Wow.
Yeah, children, and we weren't
Mhm.
allowed to be alone. We weren't allowed to have sex before marriage. We always had a chaperone, and, when you think about the intimate conversations that need to be had and the just being able to form intimacy in general, it's not there. And we rushed, getting married because we just wanted it wasn't even about sex. I mean, obviously that's a huge part of it, but we also just wanted to be together without having his brother, sitting there
Yeah.
staring at us on the couch like
You wanted to be together alone or
Yes,
alone
right.
together. Yes,
We w
exactly.
we were grown adults, and we couldn't even when we went somewhere with our friends, we had to take separate cars because everything is so sexualized that they believe that if you're in the car alone together, that you will try to have sex, and so you can't even
Well, they're
drive in
not
the same
wrong.
car. And they're not wrong, but only because we were so repressed. If we were allowed to have sex other times, then we could have driven in the car
Just
without wanting to.
being a regular teenager,
Right,
growing up, it was all about that in high school and
right.
junior highs. At least that was my experience, so
But in the organization, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 60 years old and you're dating a sister, maybe you're a widower or something, you're dating somebody, you still have to have a
right.
chaperone. It's crazy.
No kidding, really?
Yes, yes. Yeah, because the hormones are still there, the drive, the
So,
desire.
wait,
Yeah.
wait. I'm 60. So, let's
Andrew, you
say
would need a chaperone.
somebody knocks on my door this afternoon, and it's JW. I don't know if they do that anymore, but and
They
somehow they
do.
talk me into it, and I join, and then I don't know. 2 months later, I meet uh, Mrs. Smith, or Miss Smith, or I don't even know how they refer to them, but she's recently divorced or recently widowed, and we fall in love. They would actually keep us separate,
Oh, absolutely. They would tell you to I mean, there's only so much they can control, but if they
right?
found out about it, you'd be in trouble, and their counsel would be, "Yes, you can't be alone
Until you're married.
until you're married." Mhm.
Jesus,
Yeah, grown-ass adults. And
senior
Andrew, you would
citizen.
also if they would advise her against even dating you unless
Mm.
you were baptized and had been established in the congregation for a while too.
And it probably doesn't uh, help their cause because when they want you and Joe to get married and or the young one, they want more children, right? They want you to procreate. That's I would imagine.
Uh, yes and no. They've actually kind of changed their stance on that. It used to kind of
Really?
be like, don't have kids because Armageddon is coming and we
Oh.
need more people pioneering. We need more people at Bethel. That has changed
But
over the years, and that's actually a big source of contention with a lot of people. My
it doesn't
sister
make
being one of
sense.
them. Yeah, my
Pioneering is what? Going out and recruiting, correct?
pioneering is preaching, which everybody does, but when you are a pioneer, you sign up and you dedicate a specific amount of time. Right now it's 70 hours a month, at least as far as I know. It used to be 90. But it's your job and you are, an example to the congregation because you're out leading the charge in the field.
It would just seem to me, logically, rationally, but of course we're talking about a cult, that if you put two people together and have them make children, like two, three, four, five kids, those children are going to be born into the cult or to the religion, and they will grow up JW, as opposed to having you going on knocking on doors or standing on the street corner or whatever it is that you do in pioneering. The chances of getting more people, it just seems to me the odds are in favor of producing kids. Will be JW. But again, I'm
But
Yeah.
back with,
Andrew,
I
if
know,
they're
I know.
predicting the end of the world, then those kids won't have time to grow up to become pioneers themselves because you
Mhm.
don't have enough time because Armageddon is
It-
always around the corner,
Around the
just
Yes.
like in
corner.
my
Army
cult.
it's
The
always coming.
the
But I think
end of the
honestly
world
what
is near.
I think what probably happened
Okay.
realistically is that in the 90s when I was growing up, there w- it there were so many Jehovah's Witnesses that there were still enough people having kids that they still could make their main rhetoric be don't have children, pioneer, go to Bethel because that was the work they needed done. And it was like there's still a lot of people having kids, so it'll be fine. Now, I think it has started to slow down where people are choosing not to have kids and they're like, "Whoa, wait a second. Now we need we need to keep this going. So let's change the." And when they did a huge corporate rebranding. They got the little blue square, they got the website, they got the broadcast, and now when they came out with Caleb and Sophia, which is their children's cartoon, that really changed the shift to, oh, the governing body loves families and loves children and they want us to have children. Okay, this is kind of a new thing. So that changed a lot.
Well,
Which is common in cults, the fluid
Yes.
teaching.
Mhm.
Yes, the teaching changing or the rules changing as they go.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say it. More children means more the pedophiles who are in JW have,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
But I do see where I keep forgetting. This is why this podcast is structured the way it is. I'm still on the outside looking in, and I forget about the doomsday aspect and the Armageddon. And I guess that would make sense if no, none of it makes sense. What am I saying?
It
Never
doesn't
mind.
make
No.
sense, but when you're in it, it does. I mean, and that's
Yes.
what's I had a client last night and she said, "Lori, I'm embarrassed to tell my therapist some of these things that I'm telling you." She's like, "But you just get it." And I'm like, "No, I do." I said, "First of all, you don't have to be embarrassed to tell her, but I understand what you're saying because we feel so stupid
Yeah,
even saying some of these things out loud that we just blindly believed. But when you're in it, it's understandable."
I have had to, through this podcast. I have learned to be more understanding of what I hear that some of a lot of what all of you go through, because on the outs, it's like in the scam world when people get scammed. You hear the stories about little old lady got scammed out of 60 grand, and you would say, well, that would never happen to me. I wouldn't do that, but it does. It
Yeah,
happens to
it does.
everybody, and
Yes,
uh,
absolutely, and
yeah,
it's easier when you're in it, you
yeah.
just it sound I had a friend ask me because I said, I never even you're not supposed to Google Jehovah's Witnesses. Because they literally know that all it takes is one Google search. And so I said, I never looked up anything. I never read anything. I had no idea about the CSA, about any of it. And my friend said to me, did they have like a tracker on your computer or something? And I started laughing because, it seems like that could be. He's like, but did you live on a compound? I'm like, no, we lived in the real world. I wasn't isolated from the world and I had the internet. And no, there was no tracker. There was just so much guilt and shame and conditioning that
Yeah.
you are terrified to break the rules.
Brainwashing,
Yes,
basically.
brainwashing.
You're
Yeah,
so you're so brainwashed that they don't need to put a fence around you. The fence is in your mind.
No, it's in
right.
your mind.
Yeah. And that's why um, deconstructing is so important because you don't even realize how much is going on up there. And for me, it was a really big deal because like I said, I was a true believer. I never doubted any of it. I homeschooled my kids and I tailored our lessons around what we were studying at the meeting that week in the Kingdom Hall. We practiced the songs every day. I would talk about paradise and what we were going to do. I put everything off because it was like, oh, well, I'll be healthy in paradise. I'll learn piano in paradise. I'll get to do this in paradise. You're just
Parad-
living and waiting.
Paradise is where you go when the world ends.
So paradise is, so their belief is that after Armageddon and all the wicked people are destroyed, that the earth is going to be turned in to a beautiful paradise like it originally was in the Garden of Eden. And everybody is going to live, everyone that's left is going to live forever on earth.
But only 144,000?
No, no, no. Those are the ones that go to heaven. The 144,000 are the ones that will be in heaven. They're the ones that drink the wine. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh
The
my
so
God.
they're
Wait,
they're called the they are called the, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the terminology. There's the sheep and no, not the sheep and the goats. There's the
l-
faithful slave
lambs?
class that believes they're going to heaven, and then there's the earthly class that they have a hope of everlasting life. Because there's some people that believe that God spoke to them and told them that they're not gonna live forever on earth. They're gonna go to heaven. So those 144,000 are either insane or just full of shit and like the attention. But those are the people that are running the organization because all of the men on the governing body are part of the 144,000. They're insane or they're just con artists.
Is that in the Bible anywhere what you just described about the world coming to an end and then regenerating into paradise? Is that anywhere in the Bible?
Yes, that's the thing. The witnesses, it's at least in the New World Translation, which is their um, you know,
Rewritten.
their
Yeah.
rewritten version of the Bible. But that's what the witnesses have gotten so good at. Every single belief is based on the Bible, but it's usually only one scripture, like blood transfusions. There's literally a scripture that says abstain from blood. And they just took that and fucking ran with it.
Yep.
Everything that they do, they can say, well, but this is from God because it's based on this scripture. Let's turn to the scriptures. So yes, there is the number 144,000 is somewhere in the book of Revelation.
But Jesus said, drink my blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
The
symbolic,
Last
but they don't
Supper.
even that's a whole separate thing, and the witnesses really Jesus is kind of secondary to the witnesses. They make it all about Jehovah because they can speak more for him. Jesus was like peace and love, and they're like, "Let's focus on the guy that wanted to kill everybody. Let's focus on him." Yeah,
The one with all the rules
they don't
and the strict
right.
the strict adherence
Yeah.
expectations.
They're like, "Jesus was kind of a hippie. Let's go with his dad. We like him better." That was
But
let's
yeah, but just remember, Andrew, all these cults, the religious cults that use the Bible, use it and twist it and
Oh,
translate it in their own way. I
yeah.
mean, they're
Mhm.
telling you what a scripture means, whereas, you know, that is their translation of the Bible.
Yeah.
That is their
Well,
version of
And
what
the
that
men
means.
right, and the men that translated the New World Translation were literal teenagers that go to Bethel right out of high school. They don't have theological training. They're not scholars. They're just men that are just translating. They don't speak Hebrew. They don't know what they're doing. And then they gaslit us into believing that they spent hours and years translating it perfectly so that we could get every clear understanding and we have the best possible translation. Come to find out, the New World Translation is not even a respected Bible translation. It's not considered an actual real translation in the real world.
Right. Because it's essentially a cult translation.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I went to St. John's University in New York, and I studied. You have to take theology, and it wasn't my major, but you had going to that college. It had, is one of the courses, and I remember studying parts of the Bible, and the Bible, the way it was written over the last 2,000 years, has been translated and from different languages, but it also has been interpreted by different cultures and different religions
Right.
so many times that I don't think I can't pick a number, but even half of it is in as original as what. No, it's when they put it out 2,000 years ago. First of all, it was an evolving book, right? Nobody
Yeah.
sat down and wrote it 2,000 years ago. It was an evolving piece of literature over time. And different sects of different religions, of different cultures took different things out of there and twisted it and turned it to fit their needs, like
Right.
JW.
It's a
Right.
game of telephone. The Bible was a game of telephone by
Yeah.
men from different parts of the earth that didn't know each other, didn't they're just telling stories that they heard. I mean,
Mhm.
I made a video about this on my TikTok recently because I'm like, we can't even get accurate information and in the media now. We can't
Yeah.
even believe stories we hear, and everybody has a cell phone in their hand. You think that they got everything right then by retelling these stories? It's
No.
That's a very good point. A very good point.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after a quick break.
Don't go anywhere. More Cultimatum is coming up. Let's get back to your story. So you
Okay.
met Joe at 18 and got married at 20, I think you said?
Yes, we got I was 21, he was 19.
Let's take it from there. So where are you living now?
So we were in Florida. He had a full scholarship from to go to a culinary institute, but he did not take it because being a chef was not a suitable life for the lifestyle that we wanted to have, to be a Christian, being nights and weekends and working in a worldly environment.
Because you'd have to
So,
work
Mm,
nights and weekends,
mm.
yeah.
yeah. And because it takes you away from the congregation. So instead, he started out as a meat cutter making like $8.50 an hour, and we were broke. I was waitressing and pioneering. Very early on in our marriage, I started having health issues. I have PCOS. I had several miscarriages. We had a lot of drama with his family. His family is Italian mafia based. And I was just a little white girl from Pennsylvania. Like I had a very quiet, normal life in my, estimation, and joined his family. And literally within 2 years of marriage, we were at his uncle's house running from a bomb. Like it's a real story. We had to call the bomb squad. It was a whole thing. So I'm just like, what is my life? Like, what is happening? We've got some stories for sure. So it was crazy, and we just were trying to make ends meet and trying to it's because it's a rat race that you're never good enough, you're never doing enough. You're always constantly being judged and you could always be doing better. And then you're just feeling guilt for, we never had sex before we were married, but we would dry hump and fool around and do whatever we could get away with, and I would have guilt for those things. Or I was pioneering, but I wasn't getting 70 hours all the time. So I would lie on my field service report that we had to turn in. And I would just live with that guilt and be like, well, when Armageddon comes, I don't know what's going to happen. Jehovah might be like, you've been lying about your service time. You're not making it.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
think about what that does to you, Or, oh, you did a little too much heavy petting before you were married. So I don't think it's happening. You like, and that's the fear that you live with, and you just kind of stuff it down. So we tried to have kids for 10 years. It didn't happen. So when I was 30, we kind of just the situation fell into our lap of a baby that needed a home. We were not even thinking about fostering, but we found out about this little boy, and fast forward, that's my 10-year-old. We adopted him. We fostered 22 children, and we have 2 boys.
All while in the cult still.
All while in the cult, yes. All while I was still pioneering. In 2020, I literally almost died from COVID. I was hospitalized for a week, and I came home on oxygen and had a newborn, and I was still logging on to Zoom to go out and field service and go to the meetings because that's
Oh
what's
gosh.
what was most important, not me being on oxygen and having a newborn that was failure to thrive, that was literally dying. I
Mm.
I don't know how we did it, and everybody would say, How do you do it?" And I would say, "Oh, Jehovah, it's all," and I'm like, "No, it was fucking me. I'm amazing. I did it." Like,
You did?
Take the
Was
credit.
Jehovah.
yes, but we weren't allowed. We literally had lessons in the watchtower about not taking credit for things, and even if somebody tells you you did a good job on your talk, you're supposed to say, "Oh, thank you, it was with Jehovah's help," that you cannot take the credit, and that's what I work with my clients with because they don't realize, like, the things that were drilled into us. There's scriptures that say, the heart is treacherous, who can know it? There's a scripture that says it does not belong to man to direct his own steps. So we were literally told, you're an idiot. You can't do anything. If you try to do your own thing, you're selfish and you will fail. And you can only do this with the help of God and the congregation.
Yeah,
So
and I
that's
I
the
can relate. I was in the House of Yahweh, which is, it has a lot of parallel teachings to the House of
I'm
Yahweh.
sure.
We
Yeah.
were literally told we weren't allowed to use the word, like, we weren't allowed to say to our children, "I'm proud of you." We weren't allowed to be prideful or use the word pride.
I got counseled for wearing a shirt that said follow your heart because they were like, "Well, that's
Oh
against
gosh.
Bible counsel. Like that's very presumptuous. The heart is treacherous. You have to think God's thoughts, not man's."
That's
Yeah.
just
It's sickening.
insanity.
Yeah,
It's
it is. Yeah. So yeah, we fostered, which so I know I'm jumping around a lot. When we woke up, we were still fostering. We had 6 children at the time when we woke up from the cult.
let's jump to that. Let's
Okay.
so you had a rough recovery from COVID. You came home, you were sick, but you persevered through that. So
Persevered, yeah. We were fostering a teenage girl, and I was studying with her. And even though I pioneered all those years, I never had what they would call a progressive Bible study, where you study with someone to the point of them getting baptized. And was studying with her, going over information that I hadn't really looked at from the eyes of a new person. And she would ask me questions. She would be like, "Mom, I don't understand this, like this headship thing." Because if a woman says a prayer and a man is in the other room, she has to wear a head covering. There's all these stupid rules about headship. And there were so many things that she would ask me, and I was like, "Well, that's where faith comes in." And that was my only answer. And it bothered me. I'm like, wait a sec. Why don't I have an answer for this? Because I can't really explain either. And I have these same questions, and it was nagging at me. Then she ended up getting in trouble. I hate even saying that because it's so stupid. She was a normal teenager. She liked a boy in the congregation. They ended up fooling around doing normal teenage stuff. It got found out about. She then ended up, through the course of foster care, moving elsewhere. And because she left, she had also gotten baptized. So, like, in December, I think it was right before, it was like December of 23, Joey was on the assembly doing the Watchtower, which is a really big deal. We were all on the stage giving Watchtower comments, and she got baptized. And we were very well known. We were like Instagram famous because we had these foster kids and we were, high up in the organization. And then literally 3 months later, it all comes crumbling down because now she leaves and the elders couldn't punish her. So they decided to punish Joey. So they sat him down for 3 hours in an elders meeting to tell him what a terrible parent he was and that this was his fault because we were permissive. We had no idea what was going on. We didn't even let them text each other, but we were like, "Okay, you like him, we'll have his family over for dinner and we'll be friends with them." Like, we tried to be normal even though we weren't allowed to be normal. And they just shredded him, and they wanted him to admit that he was wrong, that this was his fault, and he refused. And they removed him as an elder. And when that happened, even though he was not disfellowshipped, he was removed as an elder, which is a very different thing. Everyone treated us like we were disfellowshipped. We instantly became pariahs and started getting treated differently. And for the first time in my entire life in this religion, I saw elders who I innocently really felt like were kind of infallible because my husband and my dad were both elders and they were good men. And so I really thought that all elders were good men. And I started seeing things and seeing stuff, inconsistencies. We found out some of the elders lied about some stuff. And I literally was like, wait, they can lie? Like it was just, it sounds so, naive, but I was. And it really started discouraging me. So one night, because I was obsessed with the Leah Remini Scientology show, I watched her entire show, but I never watched the JW episode that she did. I did not allow myself to because it was apostate. So one night when
Do
I
you
was
think
kind of like in my
do you,
feels about seeing things that weren't right,
at the time when you didn't allow yourself to watch it, do you think it was because you knew you might see something in there that you were afraid? Well,
that's a very interesting question
that's a
because
given.
I
Yes.
don't think that is what I thought
Okay.
because I was so unaware of what was really happening. And all we were told about apostates was that they were mentally diseased, bitter people that were just making up lies and their feelings got hurt. They were big babies that had mental illness. And so it wasn't, and it was so dangerous to listen to them. It was like poison. And so I don't think that I avoided it because I thought I would believe them. I avoided it because I was supposed to, because I was a rule follower. But my brain, I think, knew. That's why if I had gone to college, I think it would have taken one class in theology and I would have been out.
That was my question, really. Did you not watch it because your brain knew there would be something in there that would flip?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I was obsessed with the show because I was seeing parallels and I would even think to myself like, man, this is kind of similar. Oh, but we don't do that. I would make excuses, and I watched
Right.
the Duggars and Sister Wives and all that stuff. But the witnesses, well, we have the true religion. Like they're lost. But man, it sure is kind of similar. So finally that night I said, do you want to watch that episode? And Joey just kind of like looked at me and he's like, yeah, sure, put it on. And I talked through everything and I didn't say a word for the whole hour. I sat there with my mouth open, completely silent, just like soaking it in. And it hit me like a fucking truck because, like I said, I never doubted anything. And my entire life flashed before my eyes of everything is a lie. These people are right because I'm seeing it now too. And mind you, I had also just found out about more abuse that Joey had suffered as a child, and I saw the way the elders handled his abuse. And so I knew that the people in that interview were telling the truth because I had just seen it firsthand. And because I never suffered abuse, I didn't know about the CSA stuff. I was kind of, I was in the minority as far as children in the organization go, that I didn't have those experiences. So I turned to him at the end of the episode and I said, oh my God, are we in a cult?
I wish I was a fly on the wall.
Right? And he said, I think, I think so. And I'm like, we have to get out. We have to leave. We can't stay in this. So we did not sleep that night. We went down the rabbit hole. We researched everything. I was sick to
Mm.
my stomach. The next day, I changed my phone number. We told our
Wow.
parents, and that was it. I didn't give my phone number to anybody because I knew that now if I called all of my best friends and all our acquaintances and said, I just want to let you know that this is a cult and we're leaving, that I would have the same conversation over and over
I
again.
know.
And I couldn't handle that. I didn't
Yeah.
want to handle it.
Yeah.
So we pieced out. That was it. And we had, I don't know if Joey told you about him telling his dad and his brother listening on the camera. That was a whole other thing. His brother who is a registered sex offender and drinks the wine and thinks he's going to heaven. Joey went to tell his father, hey, here's some more abuse that I just remembered. And also we're leaving the cult. This is a cult and we're out. His brother, who had installed his parents' security cameras for them, was listening in their living room camera.
Oh, wow.
Listening
No, I
Disgusting.
don't think we heard that.
Yes.
No, I
And
don't
he
remember that.
didn't go to his father, didn't go to his brother. He went and told the elders. And not only is that so messed up, but like they're very Italian. Like you don't rat. Like that was a really
Oh,
big, it was a really big deal. It was really gross. And so that's how everybody found out because
Oh,
then it
wow.
spread like wildfire. And even though I changed my phone number, I didn't change my address. I didn't change my email. Joey
did
didn't change his number, and I didn't hear from one person because once the rumors got out, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Now
so
you're like, uh, well, I don't even know what to say, but you're untouchable, like,
Yeah,
everybody
we were like
knows.
lepers. Yeah.
Lepers,
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
the perfect word, yes.
Yeah.
and I don't remember if Joe said this. Did anybody come to visit you to talk to you about this, or did
No.
they call you in? No. Okay.
Joey got a few phone calls from the elders, from a circuit overseer, best friend of ours, who it's funny because a couple of his friends that he spoke to, they only let you get so far, and then they'll say, "Well, I'm gonna stop you there," because they're not allowed to listen to apostate thinking. They
Mm.
literally
Right,
have to say, even though no one's listening on the other end of the phone, they have to say, "No, no, no." But the circuit overseer, because if you're a CO or higher, it's a cult. You're in on the joke. So
right.
he literally said to Joey, yeah, I know Fish, that's his nickname, they call him Fish. I know Fish, that the kids stuff is bad. I know it's bad, but it's an imperfect organization, but it's about Jehovah. And where else will you go?
Oh
Where
my
will you
God.
go?
Such a gaslight line.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And then he got a call from this same friend, the circuit overseer, a couple weeks later because we started speaking out immediately. Then he gets another call and you see people's tones change. First they try to love bomb, then it changes and he's like, it seems like you want to have your cake and eat it too. I think you need to just write your letter and disassociate because now you're just trying to make the organization look bad.
Yeah.
So you see what they really want. Their people's true
Well,
colors come
they
out.
had to discredit you, especially if you guys were speaking out, and then they probably used you guys as an example of, "This is
Mhm.
exactly why you don't
Yes,
go looking up all this apostate stuff because this poison gets into you and, oh, what does it really do? It wakes you up is what it does."
right.
But they
When
would
we
say it
left,
it contaminates you.
So they
yes,
knew
and
you
that's what
watched.
they want to keep the congregation clean. They had an emergency local needs talk after we left about
Mm,
apostasy.
Did
yep.
they know that this was because you watched the Scientology or the Leah Remini show?
No,
They
no. I
didn't.
mean,
Okay.
we talked to my parents about it. I mean, everybody knows now
I'm
because
sure
I
they got.
guarantee they, even though they're not supposed to, they all watch my interview. I guarantee. And I talk about it in that. But when we both spoke to our moms privately for over an hour and
Mm.
literally just said everything. Our moms didn't stop us. They listened. They heard everything, the CSA, the Norway stuff, the abuse stuff, all of it. And his mom just said, well, this works for me right now. And my
Wow.
mother said,
Mm.
I'm not willing to make those changes at this time. They're but the dads were different. The dads were like, just I don't want to hear it. Like they wanted us to just be quiet and still have a relationship with them and just pretend like okay,
Mm,
so just don't go. You don't want to go, then don't go, but just don't talk about it. We just won't talk about it. And my
right.
father said to me, "You drank the poison and I'm disappointed in you." And that was it. He left.
He drank the poison way before
Yeah.
you did.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we had the 6 kids at the time.
Oh.
And so we were able to deprogram them. We did birthdays and holidays and all of that stuff with
Oh,
them.
good.
We were able to get
Fun.
in touch with all the kids that we fostered and let them know like we're sorry and it's a cult and don't feel guilty, don't go back. Our oldest that we fostered, the one that ended up leaving, she's doing great now. She's 18. She knows it's a cult. We're in touch with her. She wants to actually come to Albania when she's finished school. So, that made us feel good because I have a lot of guilt that we indoctrinated these kids and we had such a superiority complex even as foster parents. We didn't just think we were helping them. We thought we were saving their lives because being in our home was the best chance that they had at everlasting
But
life.
Lori, that's all you knew because that's what you were brought up
Yeah.
It goes back to what your father did with the headphones in the belly. This was even before your feet were on the ground. This was being drilled into you, and
Yeah.
you
Yes.
didn't
Oh,
know
well,
any better.
it's like that Maya Angelou quote, "Do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, you do better."
That's what I tell all my clients. I say, "Know better, do better."
Yes.
Of course, you still have regrets and guilt, but I do. I try to focus on, and even through all the cult stuff, we still gave them a loving, stable home.
Yep.
They were
Oh,
healthy and well fed and loved and cared for. So we were good people aside from the religion. But getting to hear their perspective once we said to them, "How would you feel if we weren't Jehovah's Witnesses anymore?" And they saw that they were safe to tell us. Oh my God, my oldest, he's 10. He was giving Bible readings up on the stage in front of 100 people at 5 years old. He was a little elder with his suit and tie and going out in service. And he said, "Mom, I hate going to the meetings. I hate being a witness." Our 7-year-old said, "I don't even think Jehovah's real. And if he is, he's mean."
Oh.
And he said, "I just want to do my birthday." And Justin, because Justin, my oldest, is on the spectrum, and so am I. And when you're neurodivergent, you just like, there's the shame and all the indoctrination hits your brain in a different way, and it affects you more deeply. And he said to me, "I used to be scared every day that if I was bad, I was going to die in Armageddon." And
Mm,
it like just weighed on him so much. And so to see like, oh my God, they're gonna have such a better life and a normal life that we didn't get to have makes me so happy.
that's
okay,
amazing.
Lori, just an amazing, and I'm glad Joey recommended you come
Yes.
on, because what a different perspective from the other side, and
Yes.
I learned more that every JW that comes on here, you think, well, we've already had 15 of them. Every single one has a different story, a different
Yep.
Yeah.
perspective, and a different outcome, and a
Well, and
different.
have you either one of you watched His and Hers on Netflix?
Yes, I'm
It's
watching that now.
okay, well,
Yes.
this
Yes.
is kind of like our Cultimatum version of His and Hers, not that, it's filled with lies and deceit, but just that you've got his perspective and her perspective because 'cause you're getting a
Hmm.
different story, right? You get the female perspective versus the male perspective. It's our version of
Yeah.
His and Hers.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay, we have to begin to wrap up. So you left in 2020, the end of 2023, I think you said.
June of 2024, we left. July 4th was our very first holiday we ever
So
celebrated.
you're coming up
Yeah.
on 3 years,
On
2.
2 years.
2 years. Okay,
In June, it'll be 2 years that we left.
all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It feels much longer in a way, but
Well, I think because that's why I asked you about the brain. I think deep down inside, a lot of people, and like you said, the elders know. A lot of people know. You might know somewhere deep down that it's not real, or you might have had your doubts, but you're so indoctrinated, like you say, you're so brainwashed that
Mhm.
the fear of even thinking like that.
Well, I
The
think your subconscious knows and your heart knows before your head lets you
correct.
absorb it.
That's what I'm getting at.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that brings up the word PMO, right? Or
Yeah.
POMO, or
Mhm.
you were physically in, but mentally you may have checked out, or your brain was looking for that exit door. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's why I
think
may
so.
feel longer. Okay, Melody and I each ask you a question at the end, and so I'm going to ask you, now that you're out almost 2 years, where are you in your faith? So you believed in God and you were JW. Where are you today in your religion or your faith?
I really did a 180 because when we first woke up, I got a regular Bible and I'm like, okay, I think maybe Jehovah's real or maybe God is real and Jehovah's not his name. I really kind of went through it because I'm like, where do I turn? Like when I'm sad and I pray? It was a lot of deconstructing and research and thought that I went through. But at this point now, when people, because people, that's the number one question on my TikToks and even in coaching. What do you believe now? Who do you worship? And I'm like, I believe in myself. That's who I believe in. You want to believe in something? Look in the fucking mirror. That's what I say to people because
Wow.
I got myself where I am. I'm taking the credit. I'm a good person. I can see myself. I believe in my family. I believe in what's around me. I don't know what's out there, what's up there. I don't know. And nobody really knows.
Nope.
Nobody can tell you for sure. But
Nope.
what I do know is that every time we talk about an omnipotent being in the sky, someone is speaking for him and they're using him to shame, control, extort, and judge people. I'm not about that. So if
Yep.
God is real, the God of the Bible, he's not somebody that I want to be friends with and serve. So when it's time for me to find out what happens when we die and what's out there, I'll find out. But until then, it's not going to affect me either way. I'm just going to live my life and be a good person. So that's what I believe. I believe in
Wow.
myself.
Completely unexpected answer. Great answer.
You didn't
Yes.
think you thought I was still going to be a Christian?
No, we get
We don't know. I
we don't
mean,
know.
do you make guesses? I don't make guesses, Andrew, because we do get so many variety of answers.
But a lot of times we do hear atheist or agnostic. Like
Yeah.
we just
I don't like to even put a label on it. I really don't
great.
because
No,
I
no.
think
And
there's a little bit of truth in everything.
and that's why
Maybe
when
we're
I
in the Matrix. Maybe
when I
it's
asked
aliens. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
it's funny. It's funny because I had a conversation with ChatGPT the other day about that. You ask it, are we in a simulation? And it's if you have it,
Oh.
ask it.
Oh, I
Um,
have it.
That's why
So-
when I ask you that question, I try not to use the word atheist or agnostic because I don't want to put those words in your mouth. I
Right.
want you to explain it the way you did it perfectly. So Melody has a question for you, Mel.
Thank you.
I do. Let's just say, Lori, theoretically, somebody that is starting to have doubts that's in the house of Yahweh, at the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the house of Yahweh, or
That was
any
a
other
Freudian
cult.
slip there.
Yes, exactly. My subconscious slip. And they're listening and they're starting to have doubts. What would be your words of advice to them?
My words of advice would be to run. Just it's we are told and conditioned that if you leave, your life will fall apart, that you'll be a drug-addled, miserable, homeless on the street that you cannot do it without Jehovah. It's going to be hard. You are going to lose people. You are going to struggle, but it won't last forever, and you cannot live for other people. If you are questioning and you see what is going on in this organization and you're still stepping foot inside that building, think about what that is doing to your soul. It is crushing you from the inside out. That's why so many witnesses have cancer and autoimmune diseases because it's bad and you're just living for other people to make other people happy. So my advice is just do it. You can do it. You are capable. You are so much more capable than you know. And if your brain is allowing you to wake up, you're already further ahead than millions of other people in this cult. So give yourself credit and get the fuck out. That's my advice.
I like that answer. And maybe watch Leah Remini.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do your research.
Yes.
Your research and message me, follow me on TikTok, watch videos, watch other content. Maybe not Reddit. Reddit can get a little negative in the XJW space because it's people that are still focused on the organization and the current things going on. My focus is more like, listen, I don't care about the people that are still in. I'm not trying to wake people up. When they wake up, then I'll talk to them. But let's focus on the people that have left and let's just heal and live better lives. That's my true focus.
One last quick question, and then we'll ask you where we can find you online, and we'll say goodbye. You said something about why ex-JWs have so much autoimmune and another disease. Is that a known fact, or is that something?
I mean, I don't know that there's like a written statistic, but any witness knows that the congregation is full of people. Sickness is a big part of that organization. Everybody is sick. And a huge thing, the body keeps the score. The trauma in the body has been scientifically linked to autoimmune.
Stress and anxiety will kill you.
So 100%, it's eating people alive.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. Is there a statistic on that? But I never heard anybody say that, and it makes sense now.
Oh,
It
for sure.
Probably not even just JW. Any cult that is like this.
Any cult, especially
yeah.
women. I guarantee, especially women, anyone that has suffered abuse as a child, that stays with you.
Oh, well,
and if you don't process that trauma, it's a cancer.
That goes
Yeah.
without saying.
Mhm.
Okay, Lori, where can we find you online if people want to get in touch with you, use your coaching service, or just learn more about you and Joe?
So my TikTok is Lori Nanette, LoriNanette. It's my cult classic coaching. That's what the book is going to be called, Cult Classic, that I'm working on. But the best place right now is TikTok. I have a lot of stuff in the works of I really want to become an activist and be, known for helping this community. I would love to be what Leah Remini was for Scientology. So
Would
yeah,
you,
Love
find
that.
when
me
you
there.
when you achieve that or think that you got there, would you come back? And after you write your book, we'd love to
Absolutely.
have you back
Yes.
on. So write your book, become the Leah Remini of JW, and we'll have you back. Seriously, I'd love to
I
I
have you
love
back.
it.
And all Lori's links will be in the show. Lori, we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for coming on and giving your perspective on your
Yes.
story.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And once again, we want to thank Lori so much for coming on the show and sharing her story with us and giving
Wow.
that female perspective because we heard Joe's story last week. If you were listening or if you haven't listened, go listen now. But you've got the female perspective and the male perspective of, and they also have their own unique stories too, right? Because they didn't grow up together. They met each other,
Nope.
in their teens or late teens. So, but yes, what an excellent interview, excellent episode. I love what she's doing now. And she told us after the mics went off, she told us that she wasn't allowed to be to go to school and be a writer, and she's now writing a book on about her story about
Mm-hmm.
being an ex-JW. Joe wasn't allowed to go to culinary school and become a chef, and he's now looking and getting ready to open his own restaurant. So I love that for them. Isn't that awesome?
You couldn't ask for a better outcome. So they both got out, and they both are now
Yes.
following their true dreams. And
Yes.
I just wanted to touch upon something that I find funny, but it's not, but it's funny, is when her father put the headphones on her
Mm,
mother's womb when she was still in there. That's
yeah.
because it's funny because I did that to my kids.
Oh.
We would play, I don't know this was back in the 1990s and 80s. I remember playing music, so
Mm.
he or she would come out like liking rock and roll or something.
Oh.
It's something parents do, I think, you'll from time to time, but in a cult, that
Yeah.
one really took me by surprise.
Yes.
So, it's funny, but it's really not, but
Yeah,
it
exactly, because it's, basically she was indoctrinated
in the
before
womb,
she was born,
in the
not from
womb.
birth, from
Mhm,
before birth, yes,
mhm.
exactly.
So,
So, yeah, it is, there is something you can laugh about it now, but it is kind of a little gross in a way too,
yeah,
right?
and the other thing I took away from this was and I wasn't trying to call her out on it, I just wanted to know if she had anything concrete, is that the JWs seem to be getting sick over
Yeah,
this, and she I forget exactly how she put it, but she said something about um, autoimmune and something
I think she said cancer. I think
cancer,
that was the
okay,
other word she used,
and
yeah,
it makes sense
yeah,
because anybody who goes through long-term stress, anxiety, trauma, and you hold that in and you don't process
yes.
it, your body will revolt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
No, that are, the mental things you put your body through will rear its head in a physical
mhm,
way in your body, absolutely.
yep,
So, but wow, Andrew,
yeah.
just another great episode, another great JW story. So thank you so much, Lori, for coming on the show. As always, thank you for listening to Cultimatum. We truly appreciate your support as we work to expose the truth and highlight the voices of these survivors.
If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. It helps more people discover the podcast, creating a greater awareness. And don't forget to follow, share, and keep tuning in to our latest episodes.
You can also follow Cultimatum on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube for extra content and updates.
And be sure to join our Facebook community, Cultimatum Podcast, where we continue the conversations and keep you posted when new episodes drop.
And if you're a cult survivor looking for additional support and connection, we invite you to join the Facebook group Cult Escape and Healing.
You can also find more information about the show, including our full legal disclaimer, on our websites at cultimatumpodcast.com or anonymousandrewpodcaststudios.com.
And if you have a story related to cults or human trafficking that you'd like to share, you can reach us at cultimatumpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can do that by using the link in the show notes called Buy Us a Cup of Coffee. Your support helps cover production costs and allows us to keep bringing these important stories to light.
And as always, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, you are not alone.